So let me give you an example. There was this one YouTuber, I thought we were cool, and then all of a sudden this person starts screaming at me on social media because I started to become more outspoken about how I was against abortion. So all that to say, despite me taking the red pill, I came to the realization that the red pill cannot provide us with objective morality.
Well, right. The whole red pill thing is about your political positions on social issues, which may or may not have some kind of connection to your moral values. And one of the fundamentals of conservative logic is to reject all scientific information for their preferred conclusions. Essentially, they experience cognitive dissonance. And instead of working this new scientific information into their worldview, they resoundingly reject it in favor of their emotionally preferred information. So for instance, with abortion, I would say most conservatives out there claim that abortion is bad just because they prefer to view a fetus as a baby. Despite the philosophical and scientific reasons as to why you shouldn't consider a fetus a baby, conservatives continue to believe that at the moment of conception, a zygote is a baby. And they only prefer this position because it works for their narrative. Conservatives also resoundingly reject any kind of scientific information that shows that abortion is much needed health care. And as we have seen since Roe was overturned, without it, people are at a higher health risk. Conservatives don't give a shit about this because they are more concerned about forcing people to have babies than they are about providing good health care. They also seem to prefer false narratives about people that get abortions rather than looking at the hard scientific data. They regularly reject this scientific information in lieu of their emotionally preferred conclusion. At the heart of all of this is their need to control other people's lives and force them to live a conservative lifestyle.
So now we get into the territory of, well, hold on, Gothics. You don't need to believe in God to know what's right and what's wrong. For example, murder. We all know murder is wrong, so you don't need God to tell you that. Yeah, sure, you don't need to know God to know that murder is wrong, but you have no way of justifying it.
Sure, we have several ways of justifying how murder is wrong. You could appeal to our collective agreement on basic human rights, which would include the right to life. There's also social contract theory, which is a centerpiece for a functioning society, where citizens agree that actions like murder are not in the best interest of the society. You could also justify murder as being bad or wrong because of the effect that it has on society. Overall, it increases suffering and negatively affects the well-being of people in that society. Another way to ground it is in the evolution of a social species. A social species would require group cooperation in order to survive. Murder would be antithetical to this, so it's an unwanted behavior. Empathy and compassion also factor into the evolution of a social species. So my point is that there are several ways in which we can ground murder as being bad, wrong, or unwanted in general without the need to invoke a god. I think that the better question to ask here is, how can Christianity actually justify murder being wrong? Now, I can see how a Christian can make a coherent argument that not following God's orders is wrong or bad or unwanted behavior, but that doesn't actually go hand in hand with moral conclusions. For example, with murder, God does say that thou shalt not murder. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't kill, and it also doesn't always apply to actions between Israelites. What it means is that thou shalt not murder. Unless God says that it's okay to murder, then you should go out there and definitely murder the fuck out of them. Also, a bit uncomfortably, after God issues this command of thou shalt not murder, or in some instances, in some Bible versions, it's thou shalt not kill, God directly orders the Israelites to go out and kill a lot of people. Like, to the point of, you could call it genocide. Numbers 31 is a prime example of God ordering the Israelites to go out and commit a genocide against another group of people, the Midianites. And the only offense that the Midianites committed was mingling with the Israelites. Fucking around and finding out, basically. So as a Christian, basing your moral conclusions on the Bible, I feel like the best thing that you can say is it's wrong to murder someone unless God says that it's okay to murder someone. Then it's actually fine to murder them. By the way, you can also kill anyone that doesn't also worship Yahweh, which is a hell of an asterisk to put by thou shalt not murder.
Now, for those that don't know, the Bible is considered the word of God. So all of the moral laws, all of the values, the principles, essentially the instruction manual for the creation, us. We're intended to live our life in a particular way, and the Bible gives us insight as to how we're supposed to live our life.
Let me rephrase this a little bit here. The Bible gives you insight on how you are to live your life, not somebody that doesn't follow your bullshit. The way that she presented this was as if the Bible is supposed to be the end all be all to how people are supposed to act in a society in general. It's not. Also, really the only moral laws that God lays down in the Bible are, hey, things that I like are good. They're morally good. And it's morally bad to disagree or disobey me. So really, you should just do what God likes, like what he wants you to do, because then you'll be taken care of. If you don't, well then, bad shit's gonna happen to you. Framing it in this way helps us easily identify that what we consider moral and immoral is divorced from what God likes and doesn't like. Conservative Christians end up changing the idea of morality to be something that's not even connected to morality.